good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back here at the public forum at the exhibition Hydrogen and Fuel Cells Europe here at Hannovermesse 2022. It's great to have you all back. I invite you to come and have a seat, have a relaxed afternoon and listen to our talk. I have a representative from Hyvia here, and I'm actually kind of happy that I can do this talk together. It's going to be very interesting. It's going to be very breaking in terms of news. So please welcome with me on stage CEO of Hyvia, Mr. David Holderbach. David, it's a pleasure to have you here. How has your day been going so far?
Mona, very good. Thank you. Thank you for welcoming me and Javier. No, the day has been great. A lot of questions, a lot of discussion with partners, with potential partners. So very, very positive discussions.
Yes. So Javier decided to bring a van to the fair, large van, huge van, and I was impressed at your booth. David, we are going to talk about the new green hydrogen mobility path. Before we do that, we need to understand who is Hyvia, or let's say who is behind Hyvia.
Yeah, so thank you. So Hyvia is several things. First of all, Hyvia is our mission, our commitment is really towards zero emission, zero carbon mobility. Our objective is clearly to replace diesel vans by zero emission van. And when we do that, every time I replace one of those cars, it's 10 to 15 tons per year of CO2 that I remove from emission every year.
That's ambitious, but it's a really good objective. So what is Hyvia? What does the name stand for?
So Hyvia is the contraction, obviously, of high for hydrogen and via the path. So clearly
Very smart.
we want to pave the way of hydrogen mobility.
And the company is very young. It's only 1 year old. And I heard that tomorrow you're actually celebrating your 1 year anniversary.
Absolutely. Actually, tomorrow is my brother, and the day after, on Friday, it's my Hyvia 1 year anniversary.
So.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. You're all invited to participate. You can clap anytime, but I also invite you to ask your questions anytime. So if you do have a question, raise your hand. But what I'm actually trying to reveal here is who is supporting Hyvia, because it's a joint venture. So which company is standing behind Hyvia?
Absolutely. So Hyvia is a joint venture, 50-50 between two leaders, two experts. One is Renault Group. So most people in Germany know about Renault. They are the leader in Europe, especially for light commercial vehicles, and they are 40%.
Don't say that too loud. Many German OEMs
Yes. No, but you know, competition is always good. Push us forward. And the second partner is Plug Power, and Plug is the American leader on hydrogen. They do fuel cell for forklifts, and they provide also all the hydrogen to power those vehicles. There are more than 50,000 fuel cells in operation today.
So we have a joint venture providing fuel cell technology, and then we also have an OEM, Renault, providing vehicles. What products does Hyvia promote?
So we have, if we talk about mobility, we start with 3 vehicles, the Renault Master, and in 3 different versions. Today we brought here the van, which is a 12 cubic meter capacity, 1 ton, which will do most of the volume. Then we have a second vehicle called the chassis cabin, which can carry up to 20 cubic meters, so bigger cargo, 1 ton also. You can put also fridge or things like that. You can put a crane on it. And the third vehicle is a city bus, up to 15 passengers.
And all these vehicles are 100% emission-free and run on hydrogen only?
Absolutely. So actually it's...
no other battery?
There is battery and there's a fuel cell. Our design is to have a hybrid between the two technology. We use the battery to power at slow speed. The fuel cell recharge the battery. But when you need the full power on the Autobahn, then we use both sources of energy, the fuel cell and the battery, to power the electric motor.
Okay, so I see that you have 3 vehicles. I want to touch up on all 3, but I think let's see how much time we have. My question is, and I think everyone in the audience would like to know, what's the range?
So the range is on the van that we present here, it's almost 500 kilometers. But what you need to keep in mind is when we talk about thermal engine, diesel engine, we don't talk about range, because usually you can refuel in few minutes. And that's exactly what Hyvia is bringing to the customer. With the hydrogen solution, you can refuel in 4 to 5 minutes, and you can have a full day again.
So you're saying it doesn't matter to talk about the range because the fueling is so fast that it's compatible with fossil fuel.
Exactly, exactly. So you can be an ambassador for Hyvia.
Thank you, thank you. And Javier currently has around 80 employees.
Absolutely.
Within 1 year, the company has grown, and from from 1 employee to 80 employees. So that's quite impressive.
Absolutely. So the human resource team did a tremendous work. We are about half of the team is engineers. Most of us come from the automotive, from Renault. Some of the people, about 10% of the team, comes from Plug Power to bring the know-how about the fuel cells, and we hired other people on the market. And what's very interesting is we have different ages, we have different ethnicity, so a very diverse group, and which makes Hyvia very rich.
David, you seem so motivated, so happy. Why is that? Is your company doing quite well, or what?
We are not doing well enough. No, we are absolutely engaged in this energy transition. I will talk about my personal case, and it's pretty much the same story for every one of us. It's when I got offered the position to lead Hyvia, for me it was a great experience. I worked in the automotive for 25 years, and finally I had the opportunity to really make an impact on the environment and on the energy transition. And as I mentioned, when I came home one evening, say, okay, maybe I will get this job. My son says, Dad, you rock. So really, it's really motivating.
Yeah, yeah, very impressive. That you are also. I know that you have a personal objective here as well, and I really like the approach of the zero emission. So that's something where you really bring, and I think this is also what drives the industry. It's the people behind it. So yeah. I'm really happy that you are representing Hyvia. I do want to talk a little bit more about the effect of having Renault as, let me say, a financial supplier, but also as a company. What advantages do you have since you have a large player in the OEM industry?
Yeah. So there are several very positive things. First of all, obviously having Renault, you have a big asset. Renault is very famous in Europe. So we have access to the Renault Master, which is a very robust, very renowned vehicle. And for the light commercial vehicles, the users are really professional, intensive use, so we know the vehicle is very robust, first of all. Second of us, obviously we have a big asset, which is the network. Renault network in Europe is one of the most dense network in Europe. And they have a dedicated activity for professional users called Renault Pro Plus. And they can service your car for the light commercial cars. And when we bring innovation like a fuel cell, it's very important to have reassurance with the proximity. So currently we're working with some of the after-sales team to prepare, to do the training, to upskill the teams, so that when the car will come for maintenance, the team will be ready.
I have a question. It can be a little bit embarrassing. That's okay. I'm here to embarrass myself. But does Renault currently have electric battery-powered vehicles?
Yes.
So why would they then invest in a joint venture to produce fuel cell-powered cars?
The reason is Renault has been convinced for many years, more than 10 years, that zero emission is the way. And they proposed since 2010 about 4 vehicles EV. That was on the passenger car. And today the battery solution answers most of the user case for passenger cars. But when you go to light commercial vehicles, the cars are bigger, heavier, more intensive use, and there the battery is limited. So you will have smaller range, and if you put a fridge, a high payload, then the autonomy reduces. So basically, maybe 15% of the customer will be satisfied with EV van. But then we need to find a solution for 80% of the population of those customers. And today, with what's happening in Europe, you have in France, for example, 80 major cities have decided to forbid, to ban ICE vehicles in the downtown. So how do you do food delivery, fridge delivery in the downtown if you don't have a zero emission solution?
So does it mean no vehicles allowed in the cities?
Yes. No vehicles emitting CO2. So diesel and gasoline will be prohibited.
Okay.
So you have only battery EVs. And if the autonomy is limited, you cannot work. So that's why our offer is really an answer.
And this 80 French cities decided to do that? Or was it the government said, please,
It's
please
part.
no CO2, we don't like it?
Exactly, but you know, there's at European level, there's a Fit for 55 that has been decided for each country, each company to reduce their carbon footprint. And part of that, some cities have decided, in Paris already by 25 or 26, the prohibition of thermal engine will be in place.
And which role does Hyvia play?
So clearly for us, we provide an answer, a solution to those customers so they can keep their business as usual, intensive use, but zero emission.
Impressive. At this time, if you have a question, there is already a question, I knew it. I'm coming down to you.
Thank you, Konstantin Bondarev, Ginex Group. As a next step, would you go for heavier commercial vehicles or other way to lighter commercial vehicles, as currently somewhere in the middle?
So, as I mentioned, with passenger cars, most of the user case, the battery does the job. If we look at trucks, so Renault is no longer in truck business. It's a Renault truck, it's not the same company. We see that there are big opportunity, big companies working on that because the heavier, the better. And in the light commercial vehicle range, we started with the biggest van because, again, that's where the battery is more limited. So we start with the big, we are working in the middle, and we'll see how far we go.
Another question?
Well, yes. You mentioned that generally the reason to go for hydrogen car is that the EV cars have no enough range in general. But there are plans of new batteries, and plenty of battery producers, they are claiming that they are going to make the revolution, that there will be new batteries. How do you see that?
As I mentioned earlier, the more competition, the better. Joke aside, more battery means more weight, so then you will impact the cargo. And two, for me, that's most important, is when you have fleet of 50 vans, how do you recharge 50 vans at the same time when they come in the evening? Do you have 50 charging stations? Then you have a problem of electric infrastructure. With hydrogen, you can refill vans back to back with no problem. And you recharge with a supercharger, the equivalent of a supercharger or several gigawatts instead of megawatts. So it's really powerful refueling solution. And again, you can, for example, if I have 3 vans, I can refill them in 15 minutes.
So, David, we need to talk about one more thing. Your suit is blue and your blood is not blue, but you got a visitor from Sweden. The king of Sweden visited Hyvia.
Yes.
Why?
So yes, several weeks ago we started our manufacturing line, the assembly line for the fuel cell in France, in Flins. And our factory is inside the refactory of Renault. And refactory of Renault is doing used car refurbish, battery recycling, and re-energy. That's where we are with the Hyvia. And the King of Sweden brought some ministers of energy, of finance, and things like that. And they brought also some of the top companies of Sweden to see, okay, look in France, this is one activity going on. And we had many questions about the fuel cells. So very important. We had people from Scania, so a lot of interaction. That was very interesting.
That is so impressive. I would like to know what For your assembly line, you already mentioned that you're assemble, so you have the vans and then you put the fuel cells in on Renault ground, is that right? Do you have any factories or planned just for Hyvia?
Yeah, so we do have a factory in Flins where we started assembling the fuel cell. You can see we have a demo fuel cell on our stand. And what's for me very interesting, I share that, is the operator on the line, there are people who were making cars before. They were in the Flins assembly line making Clios. And they chose, just like us, to take a risk to join Hyvia. So it's because it's a new company. We don't know where we're going, but yet we all are very motivated by that. And those people, they were trained by us in France about fuel cell, about hydrogen, and they went to the US to complete their training with Plug Power. And I don't know if you know the population of operators, but for them, that was a really exceptional activity to upskill those people. They are the best ambassadors for us. They are on LinkedIn and they are pushed when Isabel is making something. They are really supportive and really ambassadors for us. And as you mentioned, they even got to meet the King of Sweden. So it's a tremendous opportunity for them.
How difficult is it to train workers that were doing the Clio before now to work on fuel cell powered vehicles?
Well, I want to say it's not so difficult because people are motivated.
Is it? Yeah.
Extremely. Once people join us, you have people who are extremely motivated, invested, engaged, and once you have all of that, it's obviously it's work. We love it, but yeah, we see that what we're making things that will make an impact very shortly, very quickly.
That is impressive. And if you want to know more about Hyvia and their products, so we just mentioned you have different types of vehicles. You have a van powered by fuel cells. You have a city bus, and then what's this word?
Chassis cabin.
Chassis cab. French so hard for me. So if you want to know more about that, I highly recommend to visit the booth and have a look at the really nice demo of a fuel cell. I like it. It's simplified, but still provides the information, enough information, and then also this large van and friendly, very friendly people.
Thank you.
Our time is already up. I know you want to say more.
I'm sure.
And I know there is more to say. I definitely know. We had a little pre-chat, so I have to apologize, but my colleague is already waiting with the next interview partner. So I can only say thank you so much for having you here, and I hope to see you here next fair.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.